We're coming to you from the CoinDesk podcast studio presented by BitGo. Founded in 2013 with the first institutional-grade Bitcoin wallet, BitGo is the gold standard in custody, staking, and settlement. Today, BitGo supports over 800 coins and processes 20% of all Bitcoin transactions by value. Check them out at bitgo.com. Executive in residence at Terranet Ventures and former White House official Carole House. Carole, welcome to the conversation.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Oh, of course. I want to get your thoughts on what Ari was just saying. What are you watching if we were to zoom out and take a look at what's going on outside of the U.S.?
Great. Well, certainly from the illicit finance angle, Ari, of course, gets everything completely right. The issue of North Korean proliferation that is largely being funded because of its heists targeting cryptocurrency platforms and especially DeFi. It's a really important marker that they've shifted a lot of their TTPs, their tactics, techniques, and procedures from going after banks and SWIFT terminals to going after DeFi because of the poor cybersecurity in many of the systems and the ease with which to be able to launder being easier than in TradFi to an extent based on the current state of crypto. That is not inevitable. The state can do a lot. The state of crypto can do a lot to be able to improve there. So I think that is certainly an illicit threat that I've got a major eye on, and there's major developments also that we're seeing with pig butchering and other types of scams. Just growth of cryptocurrency in adoption and being able to be used in exchange for goods and services makes it a more attractive feature for illicit actors, which means that as the licit actors are growing, because also adoption for lots of good economic cases are happening internationally, right? That good licit use growth will also present vulnerabilities and opportunities for those illicit actors that often are distributed transnational criminal networks and syndicates, and it just requires that we make some significant movements on things like compliance. And I'm happy that the U.S., I still maintain that the U.S. sector is the most compliant sector for any other jurisdiction on anti-money laundering. We've just had the framework longer than most other countries have. So on the illicit finance side, that's what I'm seeing is growth of things like compliance, but also growth of adoption that will make it a more attractive mechanism in place. So we need to do a lot to patch up those vulnerabilities.
So something that's been really kind of striking me for a while now is the U.S. Treasury Department. We've had officials go, before Congress and say, we don't think crypto is a major vector, as Ari was saying, for some of these illicit activities. With I think North Korea being maybe the big exception, where we're seeing, hacks, billions of dollars worth of hacks over the last couple of years, and thefts and laundering and all that. What work do you think needs to be done, maybe by the crypto companies in particular, DeFi projects especially, to basically stop this, to tamp down on this kind of just exposing this industry to this attack vector?
Yeah, what a great question. And I agree. I think that the Treasury Department, especially in the Biden administration, has been really calibrated on its discussion of the illicit finance risk. They highlighted, just like Ari said, that crypto can be used and is being used to evade sanctions, like in Russia, via oligarchs and others. But it's not providing a mechanism for a nation's worth of scaled sanctions evasion. North Korea, like you mentioned, being the exception, where the White House highlighted that half of the proliferation activities by North Korea is being funded by cyber heists and cryptocurrency thefts. That's a massive number and a massive problem. But on what needs to be done, like I mentioned, I feel that the U.S. anti-money laundering framework has been in place longer than any other countries. We were huge leaders at FinCEN, regulating the space since at least 2011. I think that what we need to do is prioritize that capacity building, whether it's diplomatic pressure campaign or training and resources and capacity, things that the Department of State and Treasury already do with countries, but we need to scale that. We've not seen sufficient enough efforts being done internationally to be able to scale the ability to do investigations, to hold accountable and identify these networks and illicit actors, to build relationships with some maliciously operating exchanges that claim to have no headquarters somewhere. So we need to work with those international partners with key priority jurisdictions based on where the most egregious violations are happening and where the worst financial flows are going.
What would you like to see happen from an international perspective? In an ideal world, what does it look like to have these bad actors eradicated from the industry?
Great. Well, one thing I'll actually highlight a wonderful event and an announcement that I know is being made, I think imminently or right now at Consensus, is the launch of the Crypto Information Sharing and Analysis Center. So basically more timely operational information sharing of real-time threat information amongst the sector to be able to detect and stop these illicit flows. Most actors in the space do not want to be the facilitators for North Korean money laundering or ransomware criminals or child sexual abuse material. They don't want to be the favored mechanism for a cyber criminal group to purchase their exploit kits on the darknet. So what they need to do is leverage where governments have put in place certain liability protections and be able to share real-time information sharing and in a machine-readable way, which crypto is perfectly positioned for. So I'm excited that the Crypto ISAC is launching at this event. I want to see more of that information sharing internationally with exchanges that are operating across borders and in jurisdictions. I hope that they'll consider being part of that international effort. And then in a perfect world, we have all countries actually abiding by the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, kind of the UN for anti-money laundering standards for anti-money laundering, because that will mean that it's not just the US and the EU and several other countries that have put in place stronger AML frameworks, but ultimately we've not seen enough, especially enforcement. We need more enforcement in the space so that the good actors can be rewarded for their compliance.
Carole, we are going to be talking about Crypto ISAC later on today, so thank you for bringing that up here. And thank you so much for joining our program. That was former White House official Carole House.